Welcome back everybody, I'm your host Ben, and this is Who's Clues. Let's get into the recap from last episode's story, The Last Masquerade. We had the annual Masquerade Ball in our setting of Ravenwood Manor. Now this was hosted by the victim, Lord Edgar Blackwood, who was found dead in the library with a dagger in his chest. At the ball it was tradition to remove your mask at midnight and reveal your identity, but Blackwood never got to remove his. Let's remind ourselves of the suspects. We had Catherine Blackwood, the victim's wife, who was looking to leave the marriage. There's Victor Langley, who's in a legal battle with the victim, or was in a legal battle, I guess. We have Isabel Hartley, the opera singer who had a bit of a history with the victim. And finally, Henry Vane, who was looking to run off with the newly widowed Catherine. Now that we're all caught up, let's begin with the reveal. Our detective gathers guests in the grand hall, their faces now exposed, but their secrets still masked. She lays out the evidence methodically, focusing on the dagger and the torn invitation. Then she points out a critical detail. The threatening letter found in Blackwood's study was not written by Victor or Catherine, as everyone had assumed, but by Henry Vane. Henry, desperate for Catherine's love and even more desperate for her money, had discovered the truth behind Blackwood's shady dealings. He used this information to blackmail Blackwood, demanding that he quietly divorce Catherine and hand over a portion of his fortune in exchange for Henry's silence. When Blackwood refused, Henry saw the masquerade as his opportunity to act. Wearing a harlequin costume, Henry had stolen the dagger from Blackwood's collection and, in the confusion of the ball, confronted him in the library. Their argument turned violent, and Henry stabbed Blackwood in a fit of rage. He quickly fled the scene, but in his haste he left behind the torn invitation, a clue that would eventually lead to his downfall. The missing necklace? Catherine had given it to Henry earlier that evening as a token of her trust, unaware that her lover was about to become a murderer. When Henry fled, he kept the necklace hidden, intending to sell it after leaving Ravenwood for good. Henry Vane is arrested, his grand plan to escape with Catherine in ruins. Catherine, heartbroken and humiliated, withdraws from society, her love turned to betrayal. Victor Langley, though clear of murder, leaves the manor with his reputation still tarnished. The detective watches as the once glamorous masquerade ends in chaos and ruin, the masks of the guests long since removed, but their true selves laid bare. She departs Ravenwood Manor, knowing that even in the glittering world of wealthy and power, darkness lurks beneath the surface. The Masquerade Ball, once the pinnacle of elegance and mystery, will forever be remembered as the night the masks fell and one man lost everything. Well, that was a pretty intense ending, but let me know if you enjoyed it. You can email me at whosclues.podcast@gmail.com. That's one murder solved. Now let's move on to our next one. This one is titled Death in the Arctic. It's set in a remote research facility, North Star Station, located deep within the Arctic Circle. The station, home to a group of international scientists and explorers, is isolated from the outside world due to a fierce snowstorm. With no contact to the outside for days and supplies running low, the tension inside the facility grows. But things take a deadly turn when one of the scientists is found murdered. The killer must be among them, but with the trust fraying and no way to escape, they are all trapped in the cold with a murderer in their midst. Let's get to the characters. There's Dr. Harriet Shaw, the lead scientist and director of the research facility. She's tough, no nonsense, and dedicated to her work studying climate change in the Arctic. Her authority is unquestioned, but she has secrets of her own. We have Dr. Owen Carmichael, a geologist with a gruff demeanour and a history of clashing with Dr. Shaw over the direction of their research. He believes there's something more valuable in the ice than just data, something worth hiding. Next is Sophia Alvarez, a young, ambitious marine biologist who is passionate about environmental conservation. She looks up to Dr. Shaw, but has grown suspicious of the secret meetings happening late at night between the other scientists. Next, there's Rolf Eriksson, a Norwegian expedition leader and survival expert, responsible for keeping the station running smoothly. He's been around the harsh environment of the Arctic for years and is cool under pressure, but it seems more withdrawn since the storm hit. Next, there's Dr. Lena Novikov, a Russian glaciologist, calm and methodical. She's quiet, mostly keeps to herself, but seems to be working on something separate from the rest of the team, often disappearing into the ice tunnels beneath the station. And finally, Paul Donovan, the station's radio operator, a jack of all trades, known for his charming, laid-back attitude. However, when the storm knocked out communication, Paul grew increasingly agitated, as if he had something to hide. Let's get down to the story. The group of scientists have been stuck for days at the station, trapped inside an unrelenting blizzard. Morale is low and tensions are running high as the food supply dwindles and the radio remains silent. With no hope of rescue until the storm passes, they focus on their work. At least, that's the official story. Unbeknownst to the others, several team members seem to have ulterior motives. On the fourth night of the storm, the lights in the facility flicker, and there's a sudden commotion from one of the back rooms. When the group rushes to investigate, they find Dr. Owen Carmichael dead. His body sprawled across the floor, his skull cracked. His pickaxe, normally used for drilling into the ice samples, lies beside him, covered in blood. Immediately, suspicion falls on everyone. With no one being able to leave the facility, it's clear that the killer is one of them. Dr. Harriet Shaw takes control, locking down the station, but as the investigation unfolds, it becomes clear that everyone has a motive for wanting Owen dead, and secrets they would kill to protect. Let's go through some of the clues. There's the pickaxe, which seems to be the murder weapon. It's a tool from the station's storage room. It was accessible to everyone, but only those with specific expertise, like the geologist and the survival expert, would know how to use it effectively. A torn map is found in Owen's quarters. It depicts an ice shelf where he had been conducting private research. The missing piece seems to mark a location far from the station's usual research area. What was he searching for, and who knew about it? There's a secret journal hidden in a drawer in Dr. Shaw's office. Filled with personal notes, it details a dispute with Owen over classified information that was never reported to the research funders. The journal suggests that Owen had been blackmailing someone, but the identity of that person isn't revealed. There's boot prints in the snow. Despite the storm, recent boot prints were found near one of the outer doors, leading away from the station towards a nearby ice cave. Only one person would risk venturing out in such dangerous conditions, but who? Let's not forget the broken radio, used to communicate with the outside world, appears to have been deliberately sabotaged. Paul Donovan, the radio operator, claims it was damaged by the storm, but others suspect foul play. And there's an empty vial in Lena Novikov's lab, hidden behind a stack of equipment. A vial labelled classified sample. It's found empty. The contents are unknown, but Lena insists it has nothing to do with Owen's death. Could it be connected to his secret research? Further through the night, our team discovers more details. They uncover that Owen found traces of an unknown rare mineral buried deep in the glacier, potentially worth a fortune. He had been secretly conducting private research to stake his claim before the rest of the team found out, intending to sell the data to an unknown buyer. However, Dr. Harriet Shaw had discovered Owen's findings, but instead of reporting it, she planned to bury it. She feared that the mineral's value would overshadow the station's real mission, climate research, and attract corporate interests that would destroy the Arctic ecosystem. She admits that she had argued with Owen over this, but denies killing him. Sophia's allegiance, the marine biologist, reveals that she had overheard Owen and Harriet's argument. She had secretly been documenting everything, hoping to expose both of them to environmental groups to stop any exploration to the Arctic's natural resources. She believed Owen's discovery could trigger environmental devastation, but didn't think Harriet would go to such lengths to hide it. At one point during the night, Rolf disappears. The group finds boot prints in the snow leading to the hidden ice cave. They find evidence of secret drilling. Inside the cave, they discover Rolf Eriksson, unconscious and wounded. It becomes clear that Rolf had been working with Owen to uncover the mineral and had been attacked when he discovered that someone was sabotaging their efforts. And this is where we will end our tale. So let me know who you think it was. There was Dr. Shaw, the lead scientist in the research facility. We have Sophia Alvarez. Looks like she discovered some secrets that were going on. Also, Rolf Eriksson. Looks like he was discovered unconscious in the cave, but he was working with Owen after discovering the minerals. Dr. Lena Novikov. The empty vial was found in her quarters. And finally, Paul Donovan. Quite agitated, and was he the reason the station's radio was down? Let me know what you thought about this one. I personally like it as there's no detective with them. It's all the suspects running around discovering things by themselves. Anyway, as always, the conclusion will be revealed in the next episode. Thank you all very much for listening. Goodbye.